Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Stock Talk, series I make whenever I feel it's necessary, where we cover some exciting news and price action in regard to some of the stocks we've been talking about on the channel. Today's case, you know the deal. We are covering some of our good old COVID-related biotechs, save the world stocks as we like to call them. You know we have to touch on these at least once a week, so as always, we will go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us to kick it off, Moderna on TradingView. We will go down the line here on the watch list, take a look at each of these charts. I'll let you guys know what I'm thinking from a technical perspective on each of these. So in this order, Moderna, Sorrento, AstraZeneca, BioNTech, Inovio, Novavax, and VXRT. In terms of news, we will only be covering Moderna, Sorrento, and AstraZeneca. So first things first, I mean, this is kind of just like an added to the list. We'll go over this real quick. Moderna may supply 40 million coronavirus vaccine doses to Japan. So again, Europe first, the US, a lot of companies are doing this, just making deals prior to the vaccine actually being rolled out. But remember, something that very important to remember with these is that the vaccine has to be effective and cleared before any of these deals even matter, okay? That said, we will still cover this because it's still bullish. This next article, so Keith Spades, the Motley Fool, I've referenced this guy's articles a lot before. I like this guy's writing, and it's almost as if this guy watches the video. So Keith, if you happen to be watching, what's up? But better coronavirus stock, Moderna versus Sorrento. So this is like made for this video, especially my portfolio right now. You guys, I will preface the video by saying this. You would know this if you've tuned in before, but if you happen to be new, my only two remaining positions in the sector are Moderna and Sorrento. Those are just the two. After, if you've been keeping up, you know we've covered these for so long. These are the two that I've personally narrowed down to in my mind. So Moderna is my vaccine play, Sorrento treatment, kind of test kit play, more treatment, more on the treatment side now that there's the other test kit that's got an FDA emergency cleared. But that said, so just understand that going forward, I might have an underlying bias for these two stocks. I apologize if that's the case, but I have a bias for a reason. That's because I've read so much on them, and these are the two that I'm personally the most bullish on. That said, again, we will still go down the line here. I've talked a lot about these stocks. I do still have some semblance of faith in these stocks. I wouldn't be surprised at all if some of these come out on top and continue to do well and even outperform these two. But just understand these are my two plays, and for full transparency, I want you guys to understand that. All right, again, we will look at the technicals though. I'll still let you guys know what I'm seeing on the charts. And then the last piece of news, AstraZeneca, very short piece of news. So AstraZeneca bolsters COVID-19 vaccine supply with new deal. Good news for AstraZeneca, but again, you guys, this is all bullish. It's all good news, but it's not enough to really see some green on the charts, okay? And as you guys may know, if you're involved in the sector. Okay, so as always, before we do get into it though, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're invested in any of the stocks we're talking about today. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want to catch more content like this, and check out my complete portfolio and daily newsletter right here. First link in the description if you want to know my exact positions, call options, put options, stock positions, even cryptos if you're into it. In regard to some of the stocks we're talking about today, as well as literally my entire portfolio, and a newsletter from myself to you in your email inbox every morning, every trading day during market hours. All right, so I appreciate it if you do. If not, no worries at all. That said, let's get into it. Okay, so we'll kick things off with this article, go to the charts, and then we'll talk about this article, Moderna versus Sorrento, and then go to Sorrento after that. All right, so Moderna, again, you guys, as you can see, like, this is still a solid pattern in my mind. Again, once again, you guys, it is still below this absolute line of support that I was using over the course of a few months here prior to it breaking down in mid-July, later July. But what's bullish on a shorter term time frame, also want to reiterate the fact that I will only be looking at all these charts on the 4-hour time frame. That is the candlestick I use, and I found is best to dictate medium to long term price action, which is what I focus on. I don't day trade these, you guys. I want you to know that as well if you're new around here. But I do look at the long term, the medium to long term time frames, and that is what I personally prioritize in my mind. Okay, so on a shorter term time frame, you can see here that on August 25th, August 26th-ish, Moderna did break below this downtrend that it has been setting since mid-July. So it was in a significant downtrend. Once it broke out of that, you can see it significantly popped up, which definitely does solidify the fact that this is using technicals. Obviously, many stocks within the market are abiding to proper technicals right now. So did break out. It just bounced again. As always, you guys, TA 101 right here, technical analysis 101. If something was using a previous trend line as a line of either support or resistance, when it's on the other side of that, it'll likely flip the switch. Okay, so line of resistance, it's now using it as a line of support. As you can see here, it is still kind of moving downwards, but it's at least it's above this line. If it breaks below this line, then that would make me from a technical perspective, that would definitely make me pretty bearish. But what I think is likely to happen is, again, you guys go along that same principle. I think we will move up. You can see Moderna up 2.2% on the day. So Moderna did really pop off a little more into the trading day today specifically. So that's good to see. Again, you guys, it still has a long way to go before it reaches those new highs. But I do believe that, once again, the reason I'm so biased for Moderna is because I believe it is the current front runner in developing an effective vaccine. That's why I like it. And I do believe that once that news happens, even from a technical perspective, I think we could at least come back up here to retest this line that was absolute support as a line of resistance. So that would bring us up, if we retested that, to about the $80-ish region. Once we hit that, solely off of technicals, we'll probably bounce off that, correct a little bit. But then once and if, I don't even know if this news is going to come, but I have a feeling it will. Once we get some great news, I believe it could easily, once again, bounce back to this center trend line. I feel like that's a pretty conservative estimate and set a new high once again at $110. If it does follow this, again, the longer any of these lines expand out, the higher the price point gets. So, I mean, if it does just happen to follow my arrows, which is pretty damn unlikely, but if it does, end of September, we're looking at $110 Moderna. So that'd be nice, but I can't promise anything. You guys, you know that. Not financial advice. I have no idea what's actually going to happen. No one does, but I'm just using the data and resources available to me to establish the best conclusions I can. All right, so that is Moderna. Let's look at this quick. Moderna may supply 40 million coronavirus doses to Japan. Moderna announced that it is currently engaged in discussion with the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare in Japan for a potential supply of 40 million doses of its coronavirus vaccine candidate. If approved, Japan is looking to provide vaccines against COVID-19 to the public as soon as possible. Isn't the entire world. Per the terms of the agreement, Moderna will be responsible for the supply of the vaccine, while Japan-based pharmaceutical company Takeda Pharmaceutical will distribute the vaccines in the country. The supply of the vaccine is anticipated to begin in the first half of 2021, only if the candidate receives approval. The candidate is currently being evaluated in a phase 3 study. Just fun fact while I'm reading this, for those of you who don't know, I am half Japanese, so fun fact for you guys who may not have, I don't know why you'd assume that, but I am half Japanese. All right, so, I mean, good news, but again, just add this to the list. Many countries are doing this. Don't be surprised if so many, pretty much every country around the world with somewhat of a strong balance sheet and cash to expend. Again, you guys, this is number one evil still, even though the world is increasingly getting crazier and crazier every day in almost every regard. This is still kind of this was the catalyst for everything, and everyone still wants to solve this. So every country around the world is trying to cut some deals with these large pharmaceutical companies to make sure that they get some of that good stuff, once it is proven effective. All right, so I realized that I just read that after the Moderna analysis. I was just excited to get into the charts on Moderna. But that said, let's go quickly over this. So once again, Keith Spates, shout out to you. I like this dude's writing, and go check him out if you haven't yet, I guess. All right, so better coronavirus stock, Moderna versus Sorrento Therapeutics. Early bird gets the worm. The old saying is true when it comes to investing in novel coronavirus-focused biotechs. Investors who bought these stocks early this year have already enjoyed tremendous returns. That's certainly the case with Moderna and Sorrento. Moderna's shares have soared close to 250% year-to-date, while Sorrento's stock is up 170%. But which of these coronavirus stocks is the better choice now? So keep in mind, you guys, this was released on August 27th, so it's almost a week old at this point, not quite. But these numbers do vary a little bit. Obviously, Sorrento did correct even more. We will look at the charts right after this, though, and I'll tell you why I'm still holding my Sorrento position personally. The case for Moderna: if you want to buy shares of a leader in a race for a coronavirus vaccine, Moderna could be right up your alley. There are currently just 6 vaccine candidates in late-stage testing worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. Moderna's MRNA 1273 is one of them. The COVID-19 vaccine stands to make a lot of money for Moderna right out of the gate if its late-stage testing goes well. Moderna signed an agreement with the U.S. government earlier this month to supply 100 million doses of mRNA 1273 for $1.5 billion. The biotech is also in what it refers to as advanced discussions with the European Commission to supply 80 million doses of its vaccine. Again, you guys, what I was saying with Japan's vaccine agreement just added to the list, okay, which is very bullish. Not tangibly bullish yet, but it's in the right direction. With no approved products yet, this is important to keep in mind, Moderna remains unprofitable. However, the biotech's cash position is solid. Moderna reported $3.1 billion in cash equivalents, and investments as of June 30th, 2020. So, especially in this current economy, you guys, cash is king. Cash is very powerful to have. From an analytic, so the DXY, if you guys have tuned in lately, the dollar is actually down. So cash is not king, but a strong balance sheet is king. You want profitability, and Moderna is not profitable yet. That's something that's very important to establish right now. Moderna isn't profitable aside from all the investment it's had. Moderna is objectively a very speculative play still, but from all the research I've done, the reason that I've chosen it is because it is the best speculative play in my mind. And I do think they'll win the race for the vaccine. That's, again, you guys, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's my opinion. Okay, so that's good. Strong balance sheet equals good. The case for Sorrento, you could call Sorrento Therapeutics a jack of all trades in the COVID-19 fight. Once again, you guys are taking the multi-pronged approach. That's why I liked Sorrento in the first place. The biotech has a coronavirus diagnostic test, an antibody test, and multiple therapeutic candidates, and the COVID-19 vaccine in the various stages of development. All I care about really at this point is, again, the test kit. They were beaten. They don't have first mover advantage in the test kit anymore, but the reason I got into Sorrento, the reason I still really like Sorrento is for their treatment angle. Okay, so Sorrento hopes to soon win FDA emergency use authorizations for its COVID trace diagnostic test and COVID track antibody test. The company's most advanced COVID-19 therapeutic candidate is abivertinib. I wish they made that not such a lame name. Sorrento acquired the rights to the drug in May from ACA Therapeutics. The company is currently evaluating it in a phase 2 study as a potential treatment for COVID-19 patients with moderate to severe pulmonary symptoms. Abivertinib is Sorrento's sole late-stage program. The company is evaluating the drug in phase 3 study for treating non-small cell lung cancer. It is also evaluating investigational pain drug. I'll let you guys read that one in 3 phase 2 studies. Sorrento's pipeline includes 5 other phase 1 programs. So once you guys, abivertinib, that lamely named treatment, is kind of what the single aspect, the single prong of the multi-pronged approach that Sorrento is taking that makes me fundamentally bullish on Sorrento, okay? Because I just feel it. Of all the research I've looked into in regard to multiple treatments, I think this, again, it's late stage, it's good. Everything, all the data to date in regard to this treatment method is looking pretty promising. So that's it. That's what's still driving me, and that's the reason I'm still bullish on Sorrento. So let's take a look quickly at the charts here. If it loads. Okay, so Sorrento, oh man, it is, you guys, trust me, it's painful to look at this. It was even more painful to experience this through the portfolio. So I'm sure many of you guys, trust me, you guys, if you've seen some red in this sector over the past few months, or not even a few months, like few weeks, it seems like a long time, but if you've seen red, trust me, I'm right there with you. So don't beat yourself up. Just do your best to learn from the red experience. I know in this scenario it's pretty hard just because these markets are so crazy and volatile that I mean, you know what, from a productive perspective, this is a bubble. Like this is how bubbles act. Just keep an eye on all of these stocks that are seeing rapid parabolic moves up and moves down, because that's how many hype bubble stocks will act, okay? So Sorrento did ultimately come back down and correct off of this initial spike up. Not even initial spike up, but really what kind of triggered this rally up in late June. Okay, so you can see it like perfectly. It actually bounced a little lower than that. So it came and bounced around an area around here. Where was that low? That was at like 670. Okay, so it did spend a lot of time around here, around that $670 mark, just sub $7 mark. It's currently sitting at 727. So it did recover that pretty quickly, and it's now floating on exactly the area it really jumped up, kind of gapped up on June 25th. So that's a good sign. You guys, I know I've been saying that I can't imagine Sorrento goes lower, and I mean, I really can't at this point. What's Sorrento's market cap right now? So it's at 1.8 billion, and you guys, I'm not saying it can't go lower. Like, obviously it could go back to levels way back down here. I just don't think it's very probable. Okay, so it did bounce. It is floating right around this area where it gapped up. It's seen a full correction and like pretty much obliterated all the gains from here. What I see in this is just it's crazy, because you see how many weak hands were involved with the stock and continue to sell out. It's very likely that a lot of the people who have sold off up until this point bought after this point. So it only makes sense that everyone who is lost from this just really cut their losses, and that's the primary reason from a psychological perspective that I think most of the sellers are out. And as you can see here, we are crossing up on the Stokes. Okay, so the Stokes are the stochastic RSI, the 4-hour Stokes are finally crossing up. It's been a while since that happened. That is bullish from a technical perspective, from a stochastic RSI perspective, obviously, to be precise. RSI is so freaking low on Sorrento, so that's good. I forgot to mention this on Moderna too, but I think on the 4-hour Moderna, yeah, the 4-hour Stokes are crossing up on Moderna as well. Bullish, very bullish signs for both of these from a technical perspective. So yeah, I think from Sorrento, because it saw you guys, I've played bubbles many a time. Sorrento, this right here was a bubble, and it will play like a bubble in my opinion. So bubbles, a lot of time, what you see happen is a sharp move up, a sharp move down. When you drop a ball straight up and straight down, it bounces. Okay, so I think it's very likely that we see a bounce. I think the bounce will come back up to this midway point around $14. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't even know if it's going to happen. Like all of this, you guys, I don't know 100% if it's going to happen. This is what I see on the charts right now and what I'm dictating is likely to happen. So I think it's pretty likely that, again, I don't know when, sometime in the near to mid future, we will see a bounce back up to this $14 region. Once we hit this $14 mark, I do think we'll see a correction similar to Moderna. And then again, you guys, it will take news to catalyze this next move up. If we don't get some good news by then, I think we'll probably just see a full correction after it retraces and bounces up to the $14 region. But I'm confident in news. I think Sorrento is coming, is really going to be swinging with some news come pretty soon. So I do think once that news drops, we will ultimately hit the price target that I've set for a while now of $27. Okay, so that's a long-term goal. That's medium to long-term time frames. You guys, I'm not guaranteeing anything in the near future, not guaranteeing anything at all. Just have to keep reiterating that. Okay, let's move on to AstraZeneca, the last piece of news real quick. So AstraZeneca bolsters COVID-19 vaccine supply with a new deal. I'll just read this quick. So AstraZeneca has expanded its agreement with cell therapy firm Oxford Biomedica to mass produce its COVID-19 potential vaccine as it looks to scale up supply ahead of a possible U.S. fast-track approval. So again, there is I did breeze over some news that I don't have up right now because I honestly didn't think it was super important, but there is some news in regard to I think Trump administration, whoever it was telling businesses to kind of prep for a vaccine in November. And like the reason I didn't want to bring that up is just because you can say anything at this point in time and it's just void. Like you're just saying things. And sadly, that's so much of what the market runs on right now, and just like pretty much everything. So everything's pretty out of whack, and I don't want to encourage the whackness that I'm observing in the world right now. So I didn't want to talk about that. If it does progress and like maybe if Trump or his administration knows something about one of these vaccine companies, they're way closer than the general public knows, then I will gladly cover that. But I just don't want to really cover the maybe ifs. I don't know, but maybe we'll see. So we'll hold off on that. But that said, AstraZeneca, again, you guys, all these guys are making decent, well, I shouldn't say all these guys, but Moderna and AstraZeneca are making pretty decent headway in that sense. AstraZeneca, there's not much to, you guys, again, keep in mind, AstraZeneca is a significantly larger company by market cap than most of these players. Always skip over it. Market cap of AstraZeneca is $150 billion almost. So it's going to take a lot more capital inflow. It's very likely to see that volatile nature in AstraZeneca just because it's so significantly bigger. But on the bright side, if they do release some good news, I think we could definitely retest this uptrend. This is a very solid line of resistance that has been using since the end of July. So that would bring it, AstraZeneca, to obviously depending on when it hits it, to like the $62 to $65 region, again depending on when it hits it. Okay, so that is AstraZeneca. Let's move on to BioNTech. So BioNTech is, I mean, this is how a lot of these look. I don't know why my mouse always tweaks out around this time of the video. Sorry, but I gotta get a new mouse. Okay, so BioNTech is looking, I mean, it's in a downtrend. It did bounce today. It performed the best today, but it's still in a significant downtrend. To sum this up real quick, I think BioNTech, if you want to day trade this, I'm not day trading any of these, I'll say that right now. If you want to get a quick move on this, I think BioNTech could come up to test this downtrend. I think it's very likely, actually, that BioNTech comes to test this downtrend at about probably around like $65, $66 region. But I mean, if you want to trade some calls or something, buy some quick calls and then exit out of them once it retests this, I think that's very likely. But it is still in a downtrend. If it breaks above this downtrend, it would change my mind on BioNTech. But from a technical perspective, it's still in a downtrend, and it would have to break out of this for me to reestablish any bullish sentiment around BioNTech. Inovio, poor Inovio, man, just absolutely crushed. So Inovio did come around similar to I mean, way back to its levels back in April. So Inovio's at levels that it hasn't been in since early May. So it completely wiped out a lot of these games. Again, you guys, this is how bubbles work sometimes. And unfortunately, this is objectively a very speculative sector, and it was driven off speculation. Obviously, Inovio could be doing very good things. I haven't seen much from them in a while, but like all of these, it doesn't. I still think that these guys could come out on top in their given fields in certain respects, but it's just not looking too good from a technical perspective. Inovio, I wouldn't be surprised to see it because once again, this is the area that it was at. It initially moved up in April. It did spend a lot of time around here, so Inovio kind of similar to Sorrento. It's just I would be surprised if it goes lower because it's wiped off. It's obliterated a crazy amount of its gains already. So yeah, I mean, RSI is pointing down. Volume is minuscule. But you know what? I think Inovio could ultimately come up and bounce to retest this downtrend, kind of similar to BioNTech. But you could get a significant move here depending on when it decides to do that. If it does it soon, you could see like a $10 to, I mean, best case scenario, like $14, $15 move up, which is, I mean, from $10 to $15, that's like a 50% move up right there. So, I mean, if you guys want to capitalize on that, do it. I'm not, but just keep an eye out. So, Novavax is Novavax is kind of in a similar situation. They're all just in downtrends aside from Moderna. So Novavax moving down like this, I wouldn't be surprised to see it float around here. I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of really start to go sideways. I doubt. Actually, you know what? Because Novavax has ran up so freaking much, I think it could just keep going down if they don't release any significant news. But it would make sense for it to bounce off of this area where it initially gapped, like before it gapped up prior to this huge rally, and just create like a perfect little triangle right here. So a lot of head and shoulders playing out, like small scale head and shoulders and then like kind of large scale head and shoulders. So keep an eye out for that. But Novavax isn't looking too good to me right now either. Vaxart is So as you can see, yeah, okay, look at this. So this is from the last stock talk. I haven't looked at Sorrento or Vaxart in a long time. But once it broke out of this downtrend right here, we saw a significant rally up on Vaxart. And so again, you guys, these are following technicals. I don't know what else to say there, but Vaxart is now that's a pretty solid trend line for Vaxart right there, I'd say. So as long as Vaxart's under this, you guys, again, I think it's very likely that a lot of these go up and bounce up to once again retest this line of resistance, these lines of resistance that they're pretty much all printing right now. So Vaxart, I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce up to like maybe the $7 region, which again, you guys, in terms of percentage, is a pretty significant percentage gain. You're seeing the Stokes curl up right here for Vaxart, so that's pretty good. RSI is just so low on these, so they're all pretty oversold at these levels, at least on the 4-hour. But yeah, I mean, I think they're all still in downtrends technically, so it's hard to be bullish on these from a technical perspective if you're not day trading. If you're day trading them, I think there's definitely day trades there, but from a long-term perspective, again, you guys, that's why I'm only in Moderna and Sorrento right now. Okay, so we'll call it there, you guys. Again, you got please let me know if you're not bullish on Moderna and Sorrento. Please let me know why. Please let me know if you prioritize or if you favor these other stocks that we talked about today, and give me your reasons and let me know just what you're thinking, because then I always love learning from you guys. I always love getting different perspectives. So I'll talk to you guys downstairs, and until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.